Hello, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on whichever time zone you are in. So, welcome to another edition on health and wellness talk. Today's talk is going to be on chewing, the key to optimal health. The takeaway from this talk will be understanding the nuances of chewing, chewing and metabolism, and benefits of chewing. So, let me go ahead and share the screen. So whatever I present today is actually drawn from the ancient Vedic texts and is also ably supported by evidence-based studies. So these evidence-based studies have come from my group at Apollo Health and from other independent investigators. Now, when we talk about food, the Sanskrit term for food is annam. Now, in France, when you sit to eat food, when you sit to eat a meal, they say bon appetit, which also means have a good appetite or enjoy your meal. And I remember at a meeting a few years ago out here in San Francisco, where I was sharing the platform with the Consul General of India, San Francisco region. The Consul General asked me what would be a simple one-liner Indian phrase similar to bon appetit, but more powerful in its meaning. So I replied based on what my grandfather taught me. And he said, Annam Parabrahma iti aham. One line, 5 words. Annam Parabrahma. Food is the ultimate reality. Iti aham. That I am. So this phrase actually encompasses the physical, mental, and emotional dimension of humanity or of human life. Now, if you look at the word anna, anna is a word from Sanskrit, and the root word is actually adyate and atti. So the actual phrase in the Vedic text is annad bhutani jayante, jatan annena vardhante, adyate atti cha bhutani, tasmad annam taduchyate. Annam or food is adyate, the one that nourishes, strengthens, and keeps an individual alive and grounded. Annam or food is also atti, the one which destroys, ends, or diminishes a life. So every living being takes its form from the food, and food is the reason for the individual's survival. In addition, food can nourish a body, and in addition can also bring illness and ailments to the same body. So when we consume our food, eventually the food will also consume us. So remember this concept as we move on. Now remember, in all my previous health and wellness talks, I said you are what you eat, how you eat, when you eat, where you eat, and why you eat. All right. So now when it comes to how you eat, you need to consider chewing as it is one of the most important good eating practices. Reflect on your own food habits, especially when you put the food into your mouth. Do you talk or do you converse while eating? Do you gulp the food? Do you partially chew it? Or do you chew the food until it is of a soupy consistency before you swallow it? Now, chewing, also called mastication, involves up and down, side to side movement of the jaw muscles that assists in reducing the particles of solid food. When food enters the mouth, the jaw muscles will position the food between the teeth for grinding and crushing. Now, multiple neural circuits connect the oral cavity, the jaw muscles, to the brain tissue. And this exchange of information between the brain and the oral cavity will help determine how much force, how much strength, and how much enzyme activity are needed to transform that food into a bolus. A bolus would mean the food that has been chewed and mixed in the mouth with the saliva to a size that can be easily swallowed. Now, several research studies point to the importance of chewing and its close association with metabolic health, brain, mental health, cognition, and stress. After you put a morsel of food into your mouth, start chewing the food thoroughly. Chewing ensures that the food becomes very soft. As you chew, you generate more saliva, and the more saliva ensures the food turns into more softer and easily absorbable. After the food turns into a soupy like consistency, you can safely swallow the contents. Now, both the soupy food and the saliva together work their way into the esophagus and from there into the stomach, where the second step of digestion takes place. Now, since the stomach receives a combination of food and saliva, the more you chew, the more saliva you generate. So, what happens is after 3 or 4 morsels of food, the stomach is now filled, it's full. And then once it is full, it sends the I feel full signals to the brain, also called the satiety centers or the satiety signals to the brain. Thus, you actually end up eating less. In addition, what happens is the more you chew, the more calories you burn during the process. So, in effect, you are burning more calories and eating much less. So, chewing does two things. It allows you to eat less because the combination of the few morsels of food together with the saliva triggers the I feel full response, and more chewing requires more calories or more energy. And for that reason, chewing becomes one of the most natural and safest methods to dampen the hunger response and to lose the excess fat. Now, in addition, chewing the food also helps good sleep. It helps to defog the brain and allows us to overcome negative emotions. Now, incidentally, the regions in the brain that regulate the eating process are also involved in memory, attention, and learning. Chewing increases cerebral blood flow and activates all these brain regions that are involved in cognitive functions. Now, researchers are discovering that improper chewing triggers alterations in the memory centers of the brain, leading to poor spatial learning and memory deficits. Mastication, which is the act of chewing, is needed for peripheral sensory input to the brain for preserving and promoting cognitive function. Thus, masticatory dysfunction or failure to chew results in morphological and memory impairments, especially in older individuals. Now, epidemiological studies demonstrate that a decreased number of residual teeth, decreased denture use, and a poor biting force will all contribute to the development of dementia or memory loss, further supporting the importance of chewing. Now, the question is, how long do you chew the food? Well, it depends on the kind of food, the type of solid food that you choose to eat. For example, now ripe fruits or cooked veggies will require fewer chews, whereas raw veggies, meat, nuts, or any bean-based food will require longer chews. Chewing for a count of 30 appears to be an average number applied to most kinds of foods. So as you chew, keep counting, and then once you reach the count of 30, you can safely swallow the contents. Now, to get to 30 counts of chewing, you need to count mentally without any distraction. So now chewing also becomes another important facet for developing attention and focus. So your attention and focus are on the eating process and the counts. Now, being aware of the type of food that you eat will also allow you to either increase or decrease the counts, which means chewing now requires undivided attention, focus, and awareness on the food and chewing. Thus, you're actually building the concepts of dharana and dhyana as mentioned in the yoga philosophy by Patanjali. Dharana and dhyana actually means attention, focus, and awareness while chewing. So now chewing actually becomes a mental and emotional exercise. So the next time you place the food in your mouth, please remember to chew the food, since one of the paths to brain strength, mental and emotional fitness starts with mastication or chewing. So let me stop my share here, and I'll welcome your questions, and I'll welcome your doubts and any other suggestions that you have.